Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear. It has been a long night. I've just knocked out a bunch of reviews to this shirt. It's going to look real familiar. I also just realized I have not explained this is the same wall I've been filming on for a while now. It was gray and paneled up, and we just switched it up. So now it's got this wallpaper on it, which was a whole day. It was intense when that stuff came off, because it left a lot of glue behind. The pieces had been falling off, it had to go, but it left a bunch of glue behind on the wall, and some of the pieces that were stubborn and didn't want to come off took off big patches of the wall paint with them. So I had to sand the wall and scrub all the paint off and then spackle it and sand that. It was a whole thing before putting this stuff on. Anyway, there's a new wall behind me, so I figured I'd finally kind of address that. But anywho, I've just recorded a bunch of videos, and I wanted, while it's still kind of first impressions time, to go over my first impressions of this knife, because I think it's worth doing. This knife deserves its own first impressions, and I was just kind of thought I was done filming, and I was sitting here flicking this knife and enjoying it. I figured, why not turn the camera on and talk through some of my thoughts. So this will be the last thing I film tonight. I don't know what order these will go up in, but you're going to see a lot of this shirt, this wall, and this shaggy beard setup. Anyway, this is the Eutsler Duk, and I got this at California Custom Knife Show, and I talked about it in my kind of show haul video, where I talked about what I got. I also got this Koenig Arius in full DLC, full tie configuration, which I'm thrilled with. But I already have an Arius, so first impressions are that in DLC it's even cooler, and that's it's just cooler, but it's the same knife. This, however, is new, unexplored territory for me. So this is a custom. I explained in that video too. I'd been saying it wrong personally for a while. I imagine some people probably make the same mistake. I thought it was Eutsler, like Eustler, but it's Eutsler. The T and the S I had switched, so it's Eutsler. I asked at the booth, and then I asked also because at Friday Night Blade Affair, I was talking to somebody about how I'd like to get one of these the next day when the show opened on Saturday, and what did I say? I said I was looking at a Eutsler, and he was like, "Oh, the Duke," and I was like, "Isn't it Duck?" And he was like, "I thought it was Duke," and I was like, "I don't know. It's possible I've been saying it wrong the whole time." The funny thing is, we were both saying Eutsler. But then I asked Cody at the booth, is it Duck or Duke? And he said originally it was supposed to be Duke, because it was just the D-U-K, and he had kind of said Duke is what he in his brain thought when he said that. It stands for something utility knife. I should really look that up. But now there's a Duckling, like a smaller version of this same knife. So in my opinion, and I think he kind of felt the same way, now Duckling means that this is Duck. Like the smaller version of the same knife being called not a Dukeling but a Duckling would make this the Duck and that the Duckling. So I'm calling it the Duck, come what may. Anyway, I picked this up at the show, and I was thrilled to do so. I've wanted one of these for a while. I've entered a bunch of Instagram lottos and stuff. Obviously I've never won, but I got it at their table there at the show, which was a cool, fun experience. If you want to hear more about the details of me getting it, you can watch that kind of what I got at the show video. But this one is in CPM 20 CV, which I like. They apparently were doing these in 154 for a while, and somebody commented on the video, I just put that up today, where I showed getting this knife, and they said, I think he used to use 154, and if he's using any more still, it's just going to use that old stock, but he's kind of made the move, or is finishing making the move to 20 CV. I hope that's true, because I prefer 20 CV for sure, and I'm glad that this one is in it. Other than that, we've got titanium frames, which have this really cool milling. We've got this really nice kind of slotted frame, speed holes if you want to call it that pass all the way through, perfectly lined up. And then we've got a bunch of Zerk on this one. So the thumb studs are actually Zerk, and there's studs on both sides. Take note, CRK, it's appropriate to just put thumb studs on both sides of things, or anybody who does a thumb stud on one side of a knife that has access on both sides. Stop it. Put one on both sides. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Anyway, there's Zerk studs, Zerk pivot collars, both sides, Zerk pocket clip, and a Zerk backspacer. So a bunch of zirconium bits on here. Internally, these scales aren't milled out unless you count the speed holes that you can see from the outside. There's no like pockets milled out inside or anything. So it's not a super lightweight knife. In fact, it feels a little hefty, especially with all the zirc that's on it. Zirc is a pretty heavy material. But it feels kind of classy in its heaviness, if that makes sense. Not everything has to be a featherweight, and this being kind of a gentlemanly, very nice custom knife, kind of okay with it being... It's not like it's heavy either, but it's not trying to be lightweight. So yeah, I don't want to do like my carry, cutting, action, all that kind of stuff. This is just meant to be kind of a first impressions. I'm going to do a full review where I'll go over more of that. And right now, I just wanted to kind of encapsulate what I'm feeling about this knife. So first of all, if you've been following me for a while, or I don't know, if you're aware, I don't love the CRK Sebenza. I did a carry challenge with the Sebenza 21. Sometime in the near future, I plan to get a 31, give that another shot, both now that the 31 is out and a little easier to get, and I can foreseeably do that with relative ease, and also now that my tastes have evolved and changed a little bit since the time that I first did that. Maybe I'll feel differently about it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll feel worse about it. But I think it's fair to try again with the 31. So I'll do another kind of carry challenge soon with the 31, and we'll see how that goes. But ultimately, I've spoken at length multiple times about why I don't really get CRK, and specifically the fans of CRK who are so adamant that it's the greatest knife that's ever been created. Sebenza 21 and S35 can never be trumped by anything else ever. Until now, the 31, which is an S45, oh, that's okay. Now, forget everything we said about S35 never being beatable. Now S45 is here, and then now they're going to start making a Magna Cut, and then all of a sudden, all of those arguments for S35 and S45 being so great because the heat treat it so perfectly are going to be nonsense, because Magna Cut's better. I find annoying flaws in a lot of the logic, and I don't mean to be personal. If you love S35 Vienna, it's your favorite steel, that's fine. Please, there's more of it for you because I don't want it. If you love the Sebenza, great. I'm not in your way. You can have as many as you'd like. The Sebenza Ergos, I don't love. The feel of the action, I really don't like. There are quite a few things about it that just don't really click for me. And I find it frustrating how many people insinuate that it should be everyone's favorite knife because they love it. What I find most frustrating, the end of my podcast that was like 3 hours long, where I sat down with my buddy and we talked through a lot of that stuff, was I just think that the image that they put out there, and more so that's even like amplified by their fans, that they are at the cutting edge of knife making, is what I find the most infuriating, because they're not. They're years and years behind at this point. They did some incredible things. When Chris was at the helm, they invented the frame lock. Someone else did at the same time, I think is also fair to say. I'm not trying to discount that Chris also did it at the same time. That's the flip side of that statement. But creator of the frame lock, that's huge. That's a big deal. Helped to create S35 VN in a time when it was cutting edge and incredible. But they don't do anything now that's exciting or different or new or moving the ball further down the field. They just keep making the same thing, which is fine. Please do, because people love it and there's a market for it. Please keep making it. That's great. But don't pretend that it's the cutting edge technology advancement. Like, it's not. It's not. It's stuck 10 years ago. And buying a Sebenza now, it should be phrased as basically, from a marketing standpoint, in my opinion, like buying the greatest knife that existed 15 years ago in new factory original condition that just came off the line now. And if you want that heritage product that you can buy brand new today, great. But it is not a technological advancement. None of their knives are. They just aren't. So anyway, I say all of that to A, ruffle some feathers, because that's always fun to do. I'm sure the comments are going to light up now. But B, it's going to be funny if I send this to Cody, because it's his knife and I'm about to say really, really nice things about it, and he's a big Sebenza fan or something. That could definitely happen. A lot of people that I love and respect their opinions are huge Sebenza fans. I get it. I'm the fringe person here. But all of those things that don't make me that happy about the Sebenza, the action, the feel in my hand, the way that it carries, all that kind of stuff, the way it gets talked about as if it's the greatest EDC thing of all time, those feel like they're kind of fixed here. This feels in so many ways to me like the Sebenza that's like built for me. Like all the tweaks that I would need to have made to make me love the Sebenza feel like they're done here. It's in 20 CV. The ergos for my hands are just excellent. It carries, in my opinion, better than the Sebenza that I carried did. It looks and feels more exciting. So many people, when talking about the Sebenza, are like tolerances, as if they're the only knife company that can hold tolerances on a knife. And it's not like they never have QC issues. Like, they also have horror stories of people having knives go wrong. Many people, once they get to a certain scale, do. Like, this knife has incredible tolerances. If you want to talk about something that feels glassy, oh my gosh, this thing feels glassy. Glassy in a way that also allows it to kind of drop shut pretty ridiculously well. This thing is noticeably smoother than when I got it. It's just getting smoother and smoother. It's breaking in a really spectacular way, but the action pops in a fun way. It's middle finger flickable with the thumb stud in a really satisfying way. It's like, I don't know, it just genuinely feels like someone took a Sebenza and then tweaked it and prodded it and changed it in all the ways that would make me like it, and now I have it. And it makes me really, really, really happy. Because when I set out to first spend the week with the Sebenza, a big part of me really wanted to like it and have it click and get it, even if it seemed like, okay, I don't agree that it's like necessarily the greatest ever, but I love it, I really want it, I need to have one. Like, it's a knife that so many people constantly speak so highly of, and it just couldn't do that for me. Like, I just couldn't find that in it. And this does all the things that I was hoping to love in the Sebenza or any Chris Reeve knife, and I feel like it just does them on a level that clicks with me. I get why people like a glassy action. Like, sometimes I say it in a kind of ironic way because people always say it about the Sebenza and not about anything else. But glassy is a way to describe a certain type of smoothness, and this has it better than any Chris Reeve product I've ever handled. The way these thumb studs feel is not painful. And there's people who are like, oh, well, Sebenzas hurt your thumbs, then you're just a pansy. Sebenza thumb studs are uncomfortable to use. There are people much manlier and more brawny than I am who also agree that they suck. They're not good thumb studs. And that's assuming they even give you two of them. A lot of them they send with one thumb stud on it. So if you could middle finger flick it, you can't, because there's no stud there to do it with. These are just really, really nice studs. And they're zirconium. It's gorgeous. Now, to be fair, this knife cost what two nice Sebenzas cost. This was $950 table price. This was an expensive custom. This is not playing the same game that the Sebenza is. But I'm so excited because in a way it is, right? Even though it's not in the same like marketplace, it's that type of knife. It's that titanium frame lock that has a glassy smooth action and runs on thumb studs and has a blade shape that is highly functional, and it's gorgeous to look at. I think Sebenzas are pretty knives. I feel like it's finally kind of a knife that feels like it's playing that type of game and beating it to me, and I just get this sick satisfaction out of having one and loving it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's kind of where I'm at the moment. This has turned into a little bit of a referendum on how much I still dislike the Sebenza, and I didn't necessarily mean for it to go there, but that's kind of where my head is at with this knife right now. Like, that's what's making me so excited about it, is that it feels like a Sebenza for me. It's like a bearded gear Sebenza. I don't know. It's a knife that I kind of love to hate at this point, the Sebenza, so maybe that's fair, maybe it isn't, but this I love. This I really, really love. And it's nice, too, to have it validated, too. Like, I hadn't even handled a duck until this weekend at California Custom Knife Show. But I've been seeing them on Instagram for, I don't know, at least 2 years now, and I've been actively wanting one for probably, I mean, I've wanted one ever since the first time I saw one. I've always thought they're gorgeous and I'd like to have one, but I've been actively like trying to enter every Instagram lotto I've seen for one that I would like to have for 6+ months. And so to like have it validated that A, I got to pick one up, and then I loved it, and B, I got to walk away from the table with it and have one that's mine on a difficult to get knife, and have it actually be good enough that like it was worth that $950 to me, which is a lot of money for a knife. I'm really, really happy with it. So yeah, it's it's kind of wild. I'm really enjoying this knife in kind of a sick way, I guess. Like it's a demonstration that it's possible to make a fairly simple lined frame lock in titanium with, I mean, this is in 20 CV, so I like that better than S35 or S45. But you can have a nice, simple titanium frame lock with thumb studs on washers that functions in a way that makes me really happy. That feels modern, that feels really, really well executed, where the machining is impressive but not overbearing, and it's such a nice accomplishment, this knife. Really, really happy with it. So I don't know, I guess this video turned out pretty crazy. I didn't mean for it to be this way. I genuinely did not see it happening like this when I turned on the camera and figured I'd do my first impressions of it. My full review will very much be just about this knife. I'll try to keep the Sebenza out of it a little more, and it'll just be ergos, carry, cutting, action, all that typical stuff, and probably telling some stories about how it's been carrying it and using it. But I am adoring this knife. It's really, really good. So I tip my hat to Cody Eutsler, and I assume he has help there in the shop, probably. Whoever's helping him, too. They're great. He and his wife and the other guy, I don't know his name, who were at the table, were very nice to me while I was there. They were cool people, and I'm stoked to have one of their pieces and to have it be making this much of an impression on me already after just carrying it for like a day and a half so far. Maybe 2 days. I don't know. I've carried it a bit. But, man, it's great. And freaking this middle finger flick, it's unfair to other thumb stud knives. And the smoothness that is on here, it's smoothing out too. Like, so much more than when I first got it from the table. This thing is drop shutting now. It's great. It's really, really good. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. It's been a long day. Hopefully this makes some level of sense and isn't just a stupid ramble fest. But even if it is, it won't be the first time. All right, thanks for watching, guys. That'll be my first impressions on the Eutsler Duk, and we'll see you on the next one.